What's up, YouTube? I just made 100K on the Turo platform. I've been doing Turo for about a year and a half. I scaled my fleet to about 10 cars max that I ever had at once. And I just made $100,000 on the Turo platform. So this is a super insane milestone for me. It's crazy to even be talking about this right now because this time last year, I may have had 2 cars, 3 cars. So I never thought that I would even get to this point in my Turo journey. But it's just a blessing that I can say I made $100,000 on the Turo platform. What this video is gonna be about is exactly what I learned the past year doing Turo and the mistakes I made so you guys can learn from my mistakes so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. Without further ado, let's get right into this video. So the first thing that I'm gonna tell you guys to do when starting your Turo business, your Turo journey, is to choose the right vehicle. This can make or break your business. A lot of times when people go to start Turo, they just buy a vehicle that they actually want to drive themselves. They don't actually pick a vehicle that can actually make them money on the platform. So this is the first thing you want to do. First, you want to choose if you want to go the finance route or the cash car route. In my opinion, I think going the cash car route is a little bit better just because it's less risk associated with it and you can get into a car a lot easier. You don't have to have the best credit. The second thing you're going to do is research your market that you live in on Turo and see which cars are performing the best in your area. Just because a car looks nice does not mean that that car is going to make a lot of money on the platform. Some cars perform better than others. They might even cost a lot less. So do that research. That'll give you a pretty good understanding of what car to purchase. The second thing that I learned is that Turo is not as easy as it seems once you scale. If you only have one vehicle, Turo is pretty simple, it's pretty easy. It's pretty hard to mess up. But if you decide to scale your business and say get 5 to 10, even 15 cars, it's gonna be a lot more difficult. Problems can easily stack up on top of each other and become a super headache and become extremely stressful. So if you have one car, it's not that bad, but once you decide to scale, it can get pretty stressful. I feel like the sweet spot between stress and freedom is probably around 2 to 3 cars. Anything more than that, it's a shit show. It can be a shit show unless you know what you're doing. And like I said, Turo can be stressful. You have people that steal cars, thieves, you have super needy customers. Like I said before, you can buy the wrong car. And these days, Turo gives us little control over our actual fleets. So that also can be a big issue. The third thing that I learned is that you want to build connections. If you want to take Turo serious, you're going to need connections to like mechanics. If a car breaks down or if a car gets damaged on a trip, you want to be able to take your car to a mechanic and get that car in the shop and fix as soon as possible so you can start making more money off that vehicle. If you go to these corporate shops to get your car fixed, it's gonna cost a lot more money. When doing this business, you need to save as much money as possible and keep as much money as you can in your pockets. You're also going to want to have connections with car dealerships. I built a couple connections with car dealerships in my area, so I now can get cars for under market value, and I now even have access to the dealer auctions. If I didn't do this, I'll be overpaying for cars like most of America, so that is a big help if you want to take your Turo car rental business to the next level. And lastly, you want to know a couple mobile detailers and detail shops. It's inevitable, these cars are going to come back sometimes with crazy mess inside of them and smoking all over them, ashes and everything like that. You're not always going to have the time or even want to clean a car yourself. So you want to have a connection with a detailer that can do that for you and do a pretty decent job at it. Because every person you have a connection with is not always going to be the best connection. I got screwed over a couple times, so pick the right connections as well. The fourth thing that I learned in this last year and a half doing Turo is that you definitely want to do your bookkeeping. It doesn't matter if you have 1 car or 20 cars or 100 cars, you need to do bookkeeping in this business. All bookkeeping does is tell you if your business is actually profitable or not and which vehicles are actually performing as you thought they would perform. Because if a vehicle is not performing the way you want it to perform, it only makes sense for you to get rid of that car. If you're interested in bookkeeping templates, the link will be down below. I'll actually put them on sale for the people just that view this video. It'll be on sale. You can thank me in the comments. I'm just playing, but yeah, it'll be on sale down below. So let me know if you're interested in that. And lastly, what it does is keep track of your growth in the business. When running a business, it is extremely hard to stay on top of everything. So if you just do your bookkeeping once a week or once a month and just look at it, every so often, it tells you if your business is actually growing or if, you're just spending everything that you make. And if you're doing that, that's not good. Your business should always be growing. And lastly, the fifth thing, and I kind of talked about this before, but what this is that cash cars and finance cars are 2 totally different things. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down a pro and con list for each. So first we're gonna start with the cash cars. The first thing with cash cars is that it is much harder to get 5-star reviews than it is if you have a finance car. And the reason being is because these cars are not gonna be as reliable as the newer cars. They're not gonna have as many features. They're just not gonna like the car as much as they would like a newer car. A lot of times people book these cars because they just need a car to get from point A to point B. Maybe their car broke down. So it is a lot harder to get 5-star reviews, but it is possible. The second thing is high maintenance costs. When you have cash cars, most of the time, if you pay for a car cash, the car is most likely gonna be, 5 to 6 years old, maybe sometimes even older. With those type of cars, there's gonna be a higher maintenance cost associated with it. So you definitely have to set aside some extra cash just to make sure when something goes wrong with that car, you have the money and the capital to get it fixed. And this correlates also with having more stress, because a lot of times when you have these cash, lower end cars, things just randomly break. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. I had a car with a radio. The radio just went out randomly. Like it just stopped working on a trip, got a bad review for something I literally couldn't control. And it took me like a month to try to get a new one. It was weird, but things like that happen all the time. So just expect those type of things to happen. Now we're gonna go into the pros of having cash cars. It's cheaper and it's way easier to scale than if you were to have a whole bunch of finance cars. It's low risk, so you can get into a car for less money. Say everything goes to shit, you still, you're only risking a certain amount of money. As if you would've got a finance car, you're risking a lot more money. Like you have a whole loan associated with that vehicle. And then the next thing is vehicles are extremely easy to sell. Say something doesn't go right, you could just sell the car and make your money back and sometimes even make profit. The best things of having cash cars is that if that car gets in a total loss or a wreck on Turo, 9 times out of 10, if you got a pretty decent deal on that car, which I recommend going to Facebook rather than a dealership, Turo will pay you out more than what you pay for that car. And I'll show you guys an example. I had a 2014 Ford Focus that I paid $4,500 and this car got totaled like 3 months after I paid for it. It already made like $3,000 off Turo, something like that. And Turo paid me out $9,500 for this car. So after I saw that happen, I was like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know they would pay me that much, but yes, they paid me $9,500 from that car. So I pretty much profited roughly around $8,000 off of that one vehicle in 4 months. So that's the possibility that can happen with cash cars. And then now we're gonna talk about the finance cars and the pros and cons of it. Then we're gonna talk about the pros. So the first pro is that, I wanna say not all the time, but sometimes finance cars can make you more than the cash cars, but that's not always true. Like I have cash cars that make me more than finance cars. So I would say about 50, it's like 50-50. Sometimes they make more, sometimes they don't. And then another thing is that the maintenance is gonna be a lot less. It's gonna be a lot lower maintenance costs associated with that vehicle, assuming that you got a newer vehicle and not an older finance car. And then lastly, it's a lot easier to get good reviews. You don't really have to worry about a car breaking down or anything like that while being on a trip. So it makes it a lot simpler and a lot easier to get those good reviews, and you don't have to worry about the reliability of that car. So now we're gonna talk about the cons. The first cons of having a finance car on Turo is that it's hard to scale. There's tips and tricks on YouTube on how to, get 20 cars in a month, but you don't wanna do that to yourself because it's gonna mess up your debt to income ratio. It's just not worth it. So you need good credit to get the finance cars. Like your credit can't be in the 500s. If it is, you're gonna get an outrageous interest rate. And then you're gonna have interest on the cars. You gotta pay interest over time. And that's just like another cost that, you have to associate with these vehicles. It's just, sometimes it's not worth it. If you're not making a certain amount of money per month off of the vehicle, it's not worth even, the car payment or the interest that you're gonna pay on the car, especially with interest rates being so high at the moment. And then the last con associated with finance cars is that these vehicles, when you buy them, it's a long-term decision. Like there's no, I'm gonna go finance a car and then I'm gonna return it like next year. Like nah, these terms are usually anywhere from 6 years to 7 years. So there's no turning back once you have them. You can default on a loan or something like that or something, but it's just, you have to think about the longevity of buying these finance cars. And that's pretty much all I got for y'all. I hope this video was extremely beneficial. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you have any questions in the comment section, please leave that down below. If you like this video, I'm pretty sure you either like this one or this one. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.